I'm continuing my series today that I began with you yesterday, speaking to you about the dumbest wise man who ever lived. Of course, we know this man to be Solomon. Solomon was the king of Israel, a wealthy man. He's sitting at the end of his life now. He's old, he's hunched over. Age has taken its toll upon his life. And Solomon is saying to all who will listen, when you are young, in your youth, please make God your choice. Give your heart and life to Christ while you're young, while you still have strength, while you still have ability. Give God your best. Let God have your life. The things of the world are not worth it. At the end of our chapter, at the end of our verses the other day, these are the words that Solomon continues to say, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. You know, that word vanity is an interesting word. The word vanity is the word from which we get the word bubbles. My daughter has a dog, and she and this dog love to play together. She and this dog will get a little bottle with soap and water and mix it up. It has a little wand inside of it that has a circle. She'll pull that bottle out. She'll blow into it and a big bubble will form, and finally it'll come loose and it'll float around the air. And my daughter's dog loves those bubbles. She'll jump around and hit them with her nose, and when she hits them, they explode. This would be a good experiment. What is a bubble? A bubble is a surface. It's round. But when you touch it, it explodes. It's gone. You can't get your hand on it. The moment you get it in your hand, you might be able to hold it for a while, but there's nothing inside. It dies. It's done with. And that's the way it is with life. Life without God is vanity. Now, in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, I want to lift these words. Chapter 2 and verse 17. Hear the words of the richest man who ever lived. Therefore, I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous to me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit. We already explained to you the word vanity. Now what's vexation? The word vexation means to rub together, friction, vexing. It's like two things rubbing together, but between them there's nothing to absorb the friction, and over time that friction develops into a fire or wears the two down. Life is vexation. Life is a continuous rub. It's like bubbles that never last. And this man thought he could have anything he wanted. He could have everything he wanted. He tried everything under the sun. He said, there's nothing new under the sun. I've tried everything that there is. And you might say, Solomon didn't live in our world. Solomon didn't live in my town. And Solomon didn't try what I try. But wait a minute. The principles are still the same. It's all the same. So let's move through some of what Solomon experimented with to see if life was worth it. In Ecclesiastes chapter 1, he says in verse 13, Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 13, here's his words. I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. What does that simply mean? I sought philosophy. I tried learning intelligence. I pursued university degrees. I tried to go to the high schools of man. I tried to go to the centers of learning and philosophy, and I gave my heart to seek. In other words, maybe there's something I haven't learned yet. But you know what? If I keep reading, if I keep learning, if I keep educating, if I keep sitting under teachers, eventually I'll come to know it. This was the problem with the old Greek philosophers. You read in the book of Acts, it says that they sought to hear something new. In other words, maybe there's a mystery in life I haven't found yet, but if I keep working at it, eventually I'll figure it out. I'll find it. I'll come to know what I've been missing. And so, he said, I tried all the learning. I read books. He said of the writing of books, there is no end. Books upon books, libraries filled with books. I thought maybe there's something I haven't learned. Maybe there's some great intelligent knowledge that I've not gleaned. And when I learn that, then I will settle my heart. I will understand. I will know truth. But there's only one book that holds truth, and that's the Bible, the Word of God. This is the book that explains the meaning of life. This is the book that tells us about death. This is the book that tells us how to be happy in life. By the way, this book contains all the proverbs that we know of Solomon. He wrote many of them. And yet he said, just learning them are not enough. I tried intellectual pursuits. I tried knowledge. I went and got degrees and I studied. At the end of it all, at the end of life, I did not know the truth. This is the problem with all of us. It's vanity and vexation of spirit. You can learn and learn and learn. Man wants to know what God knows, but God has limited us to what He wants us to know. In the Garden of Eden, Lucifer told Adam and Eve, if you eat this fruit, you will be like gods, knowing good and evil. You'll have superior knowledge. You will know what God knows. It never works. God has put us within a box and said all things that pertain to life and godliness are in this book. This is what you need to know. Don't go out and pursue things beyond. Just come to know Christ Himself. And He is the source of knowledge. In verse 17 of Ecclesiastes 1, I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. But he said, when I came to know it all, it's just grief. It just grieved me. I knew too much. That's hard to imagine, isn't it? Secondly, in Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and verse 1, I said in my heart, go now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure. Go and have fun. They're laughing. They must be having fun. Mirth. That isn't anything important. It's just silliness. It's just crazy laughter. People play their guitars. They play their music. And everybody, ha, 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 isn't it great? Oh, let's just have a party and have a good time. But what did he say? This also is emptiness. This is vanity. I tried all the parties and all the fun and all the excitement. But at the end of the day, it's a bubble. I touch it and it's gone. We live in a party-mad world. We live in a society that is always pursuing pleasure. The lights blink. Everything says, come and try me. Come and enjoy my pleasures. Come drink of the cup of pleasure. Solomon said, when I pursued all my knowledge, when I thought I could fill my mind with new ideas, I found out there's nothing new under the sun. So he said, I went to the place of mirth. I went to the dimly lit nightclubs. I went where they were drinking. I went where they were singing songs and everybody was singing out. Oh, isn't it great? But when I walked away, I was still empty. I was still lacking. Pleasure does not have what your life needs. Verse 3 of chapter 2. I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting my heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. I thought if I drink a little bit of wine, it would loosen my heart up, and maybe then my mind would be loosened enough to understand something. Have you ever seen anybody that drinks wine? It never makes them smarter. It makes them dumb. I have been around people that drink. There isn't a dumber behavior in the world than to drink liquor. Liquor makes you a fool. It makes you an idiot. I happened up on some fellas that were drinking. They had been having a good time. They would drink and they would sit there and say, look at that. Ain't that funny? I'd say, what are you looking at? What are you laughing at? Oh, that tree. Look at that. It's just mirth. It's empty laughter. There's nothing really funny. It's just their way of having fun. But all it did was made a fool out of them. And that's what pleasure does. It makes a fool out of you. Now listen, do God's people have fun? You better believe it. But when we are finished with our fun, there's no regret. When the world is finished with its fun, it's full of regrets. I tried pleasure. I told my heart, go just fill your soul with pleasure. But it's empty. It's vanity. It's folly. Let's go to the next. Verse 7. I had great possessions. I got me servants, maidens, servants. Also, I had great possessions. If I could just buy things. If I could just take my money and go and buy me a car, and buy me a house, buy me land. If I could just have somebody do all my work. Oh, if I could just own anything my heart desires. I don't know who the wealthy people in your world are, but in our world, there are many people who think they own whatever. They can walk into a store if they want a new car. They just sit down, divvy up the money, and they drive away with their... They don't just get any car. They buy a really nice car. They want a fancy car. In America, the fast sports car, the Corvette. Oh, to have that. And a Ferrari. I can go fast down the roads and this will get me. It'll be exhilarating. It'll be so thrilling. And when the thrill is done and it's in a pile of smoldering metal because you ran into the fence or you hit something, killed someone, Was that fun? Maybe you own a house. If I could just own that beautiful mansion, when I drive up to it, the gates open up. I can have golden doorknobs. When the doors open there, the floors are glistening, beautiful marble. And the servants wait on me and say, "What would you like?" And all my clothes are made of silk and finery. Solomon said, I thought, maybe there's something I haven't bought yet. And so he said, I got me possessions. But he wasn't happy. Materialism never satisfies. In verse 8, I gathered me also silver and gold and the peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers, women singers. The delights of the sons of men is musical instruments, and that of all sorts. I had every variety I could imagine. It was vanity, emptiness. It did not satisfy, and it never, ever does. It doesn't satisfy. Verse 9. So I was great. What's this? Popularity. If I could just be popular, if I could be a movie star, if I could be known as the greatest singer in the land, if the world wanted to hear what I have to say, then I would be happy. If I could be a great sports star and win all the awards, then I would be a great person. Wouldn't this be great? It doesn't satisfy. None of those things satisfy. They never have. They never will. Because things cannot satisfy the life. Things cannot satisfy the deep desire of the soul. Verse 10, and whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor. This was the portion of my labor. I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I'd labored to do. Behold, all was vanity, empty bubbles, and vexation of spirit. There's nothing under the sun that profits me. It does not add to my life. Isn't it a tragedy to see men and women pursuing the things of the world, but they're not satisfied? That's what keeps many people back from serving God. That's what holds men and women back from giving all of their life to God. For some reason they think there's something out there I haven't had yet. There's something out there that I have not enjoyed yet. And so if I can just lay my hand on it, if I can just purchase and buy it, if I can own it, if I can be great, I'll have everything. But he said it's vanity and vexation of spirit. Verse 12, I turn myself, this is chapter 2 and verse 12. I turn myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can a man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath already been done. Verse 17, I hated life. After I had everything, all the pleasure, all the possessions, all the popularity, after I had reached for everything, all of the learning, I hated life. You'll never enjoy life as long as your life is wrapped up in possessions, pleasures, the things of earth. Nothing on this earth can satisfy that deep, deep longing in your soul, there's only one thing that satisfies: Christ. A life lived for the glory of God. That alone can bring you happiness. That alone can touch the thirst, the longing, the yearning down in the soul. Verse 18, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it to the man that was after me. All of your good pursuits, all of your pursuits in life, they're emptiness without Jesus Christ. My challenge to you is to remember that the only way to be happy is to seek Christ, to live a life that's completely yielded to God, to give your all to Jesus Christ. Only that can satisfy your soul. And if you'll make that your pursuit in life, then you will be happy. Then you will be satisfied. May God bless you. May you seek Christ and Christ alone in life.